Hello everyone and welcome back to the film recap. After Asgard was destroyed by the fire demon, Thor led his people to migrate to Earth as refugees. On the way, unfortunately, Thanos and his adopted children destroyed half of the population. In his hand he had a power stone taken from the planet Xandar. He grabbed Thor's head and forced Loki to hand over the Tesseract. If not, prepare to prepare baby Thor's late-night snack. Seeing his brother in pain, Loki couldn't help but take out the cube. However, this was just a plan to buy time for the big guy to continuously rush into Thanos' avatar. But he possessed the Power Stone, so he quickly made a bet so that the big guy wanted to return to his grandparents. Thor, who was holding an iron bar and rushed to help, was punched and sent flying to a corner. The sorcerer Ebony Maw immediately controlled the iron bars to stop the rabbit. Seeing that the situation was not good, he quickly used the space portal to teleport back to Earth. He looked at the rabbit one last time and was then killed by Thanos. At this time, the sorcerer took the cube and handed it over to his foster father. Thanos crushed the cube with his hand to take out the gem inside. This is the Space Stone. There are two other Infinity Stones on Earth, so Purple Potato sent his children to find them and bring them back to Titan Planet. At this time, startup expert Loki used his talent to apply for a job as a military consultant. Because he has real combat experience on Earth, it will help him a lot. It turned out it was just a trap for Loki to hold a knife and secretly stab Thanos. At my age, I'm already used to this trick, so there's no way. The Purple Potato directly strangled Loki to death and then tasted it in front of his face. He suffered and screamed in despair. And the Purple Potato guy used the Power Stone to destroy the ship and then took his people away. The spaceship exploded and was filled with rabbits floating everywhere in the universe. At this time, the giant Dream fell into the cathedral in New York. Doctor Strange and Wong did not understand why he had been missing for several years and then suddenly appeared in this way. Banner panicked and warned that Thanos were leading his army to Earth. Meanwhile, the billionaire returned to the camp with Pepper, who was kicking around the tent when Doctor Strange interrupted them. He told Tony to go quickly because the world was in danger. Returning to the temple, Wong explained about the 6 Infinity Stones, including reality, power, space, soul, mind, and time. They were created after the Big Bang explosion that gave birth to the universe. Whoever owns these 6 stones will have unlimited power. Banner says that Thanos is searching for the remaining 4 stones. He is a population planner who destroys half of every planet he goes to. If he had enough stones in his hands, half the universe's population would literally disappear. Therefore, what needs to be done is to protect the Time Stone in Doctor Strange's hands and the Mind Stone in Vision's body. Tony took out his phone to contact the captain to ask about Vision's whereabouts, but the other end of the line did not pick up the call. At that moment, he sensed something was wrong and opened the door. The giant ship of Thanos is descending on Earth, causing people to run away in fear. Peter, on the other side, also felt danger. He quickly put on his spider suit and set out to help the superheroes. Doctor Strange used magic to minimize damage when the ship collided with the ground. Thanos' 2 adopted children stepped down and asked everyone to hand over the Infinity Stone. There's some trash that we can hand over. Banner tried to summon him to appear, but he tried to have diarrhea but couldn't. There was no way. Tony had to stand up and fight. His new armor is made of nano, so he doesn't have to spend time installing armor like before. He gathered weapons and sold them with big, sharp arrows. But this Ebony Maw is the powerful one. He can condition everything to attack their friend. Because the Banner could not transform into a giant, Doctor Strange took him out of the fight. Tony rushed up to attack Ebony, but was hit by a sharp arrow, forcing his head to the ground. This guy is equipped with many terrible weapons, so it is very difficult to deal with. At that time, the Black Spider was there in time to throw the car at his head. On this side, the war between the Supreme Witches is taking place differently. But Ebony alone can hardly compete with Doctor Strange and Wong. However, this guy is not the type that anyone can bully. He was known as Thanos' strongest child, so he quickly turned the tables and forced the Doctor against the wall. Just as he was about to take the stone away, the security guard roasted his hand. Angry, he tied up Doctor Strange and took him to the spaceship to deal with later. Despite the help of the spider, both of us were sucked to the ground by the ship's light. At this time, Wong opened the space gate to take the big guy to another place and gently asked for his hand. Tony quickly followed the ship. Seeing Peter falling, he immediately called a suit of armor from the rescue base to come for light support. But he did not let the boy participate in the war, so he ordered the armor to bring Peter back. Tony used a laser to scan a hole in the ship's body and then entered. However, Peter did not listen to his uncle and decided to follow everyone. Ebony was still not sure what was going on, so he controlled the ship to speed back to the Titan planet. After saying goodbye to Wong, Banner picked up the killer's phone and immediately contacted Captain America. Somewhere in space, the Guardians of the Galaxy are flying to a ship's distress signal. When they arrived, they were really panicked when they saw countless people killing people. Suddenly, a body flew straight into the spaceship. It turns out, it was Thor, and he's not dead yet. When the baby rabbit woke up, everyone gave him food and water. Here, he also learned that the green-skinned girl Gamora is Thanos' daughter. However, he was not angry but showed sympathy when he learned that she was the last survivor on his planet. Thor predicts that the purple potato will go to planet Nowhere to usurp the reality stone from stone collector Tevan, so everyone split into two directions. Following Groot and Rocket, they traveled back to Nidavellir to create new weapons to fight Thanos. The rest go to Nowhere to stop the purple potato from getting the stone. At this time, Vision and Wanda are living together. The Mind Stone on his head is warning him that something terrible is about to happen. The two saw an announcement on TV about the attack in New York. Suddenly, a stranger stabbed Vision, then used a hook to hook the stone out. Wanda immediately sent away the enemy and saved her lover. She quickly treated his wound, but the monster came back and dragged Vision somewhere else. He tried to counterattack, but because he was injured, he was no match for him. Below, Wanda is attacked by Midnight, trying to block her path. However, she could only last a few minutes before the beauty filled her mouth with onions. Then she flew up and beat that strange guy until she couldn't recognize him. While being careless, the couple was secretly shot and landed at a train station. Just when I thought I was going to die here, a familiar shadow appeared in the distance. It's none other than team leader Meme. He and Special Agent Natasha teamed up to attack the monstrous people to save their teammates. Very quickly, the Purple Potato's adopted children were so disappointed that they ran away and dropped their pants. The whole group galloped back to base Avengers. It's only been a few years since we've seen each other, but Captain Meme's mouth is already full of hair. At the same time, Gamora recalls painful memories of when her planet was massacred by Thanos. Seeing that she had great potential to become a warrior, he spared her life and adopted Gamora. Purple Potato gave her a knife and taught her how to balance it. On the outside, her insect tribe was murdered without leaving anyone behind. Currently, she is still holding the knife, waiting for someone to report it to her compatriots. Gamora looked over at Star-Lord and begged him to kill her if she was captured by Thanos. Because she knows a secret related to the fate of the world, Star-Lord must swear an oath to protect his lover. Very quickly, the group of Guardians arrived at planet Nowhere. This place is devastated as if it had just been destroyed. Everyone went to investigate the situation and found Thanos forcing Tevan to hand over the reality stone. Gamora could not keep calm and suddenly attacked him, causing him to fall to the ground and die. However, that was just a trick from the Purple Potato. He used the reality stone to create another three-dimensional space. Then he cut two people in the Guardian group into many different shapes. Star-Lord held a gun and threatened Thanos to release Gamora, but she asked him to kill her as promised. For the safety of the universe, he had no choice but to open fire. But the bullets were nowhere to be seen. Only balloons were seen flying out. Thanos did not kill them, but used the Space Stone to bring Gamora to the planet Titan. The remaining two also returned to their original appearance. At the same time at Avengers headquarters, the superheroes have finally gathered together. Dr. Banner appeared and Natasha couldn't believe her eyes. He told everyone about the Purple Potato's plan to reshape the universe's population. Vision thinks he should destroy the Mind Stone on his head. There were only people strong enough to do that, just Wanda. But she did not agree to do this. Banner says there is still a way to get the stone out of Vision's body without endangering his life. So everyone quickly moved to the kingdom of Wakanda to ask for help. Somewhere in outer space, Ebony Maw used countless sharp pieces of ice to stab Doctor Strange to force him to hand over the Time Stone. Tony was nearby trying to find a way to save the Doctor when his nephew appeared. He told Peter to go back because this place was very dangerous. The boy said that he would not be able to be a good neighbor if there was no one around. Seeing that it was reasonable, Tony agreed to let Peter follow. He then appeared behind the evil sorcerer and shot a hole in the ship. The pressure of the deflector was too great, causing Ebony to fly outside. Doctor Strange was also sucked in, but Peter sent a web in time to hold him back. The three met to discuss a plan to go to the planet Titan to face the Purple Potato. Over here, Thanos is doing everything he can to seduce Gamora to show where the Soul Stone is hidden. Of course, she will never confess. Thanos immediately hung Nebula up to threaten her. Seeing that her sister was in danger, Gamora had to reveal where the Soul Stone was hidden. Back to Thor. He is currently on his way to the Cosmic Forge. The rabbit saw that Thor was missing one eye, so he gave him a new one. Thor happily put it on right away, but forgot to clean it before using.
He wasn't used to it, so he was a little cross-eyed. Very quickly they reached their destination, but before their eyes was a planet with no signs of life. Obviously something happened to this place. At this time, Groot discovered a gauntlet similar to Thanos's. Suddenly a dwarf appeared and attacked the rabbit. Even though he's called a dwarf, he's several times bigger than a rabbit. Ayitri blames Asgard for not protecting them according to the treaty. But if Asgard is destroyed, how can we protect anyone? Ayitri said that Thanos came here to force the dwarves to create the Infinity Gauntlet, but when he finished forging, he killed all the dwarves on this planet. He let Ayitri live, but cut off his hands so he could no longer forge weapons. The indignant rabbit said that we must work together to destroy that wretched purple potato. Ayitri leads everyone to the weapon forge, but the fire of the place has been extinguished. Therefore, their mission is to awaken the dying dwarf star. The rabbit tied a rope to the spacecraft so that Rocket could accelerate to full speed and pull the rings. Very quickly, the restraining ice blocks burst. The burning dwarf star returned, shining a powerful source of energy toward the forge. However, the ring that controls light to melt metal has been lost. Rabbit decided to use himself to open that gate to receive the light. The dwarf warned him that he might die for doing so. The rabbit didn't care and immediately opened the gate to let the light through. The giant smithy, which was extinguished, blazed again. As soon as the metal was melted, Ayitri began shaping the hammer. At this time, Thor could not stand the heat and fell to the ground unconscious. On this side, the tree man Groot sacrificed his arm to make a hammer. Now, the most powerful weapon in the universe has been born. On the other side, the Guardian spacecraft piloted by humans has reached the planet Titan. Because he didn't know how to land, Doctor Strange had to use magic to protect everyone from the collision. At this moment, the Black Spider sensed something coming. The grenade exploded, sending 3 people flying away. It turned out that it belonged to the Guardians of the Galaxy group. They thought all 3 were Thanos' people, so they attacked first to be sure. The 2 sides rushed into fierce conflict. The Guardian group looks like amateurs, but are equally talented as the group of superheroes. If Star-Lord didn't control the Black Spider, Tony wouldn't control it either. After a while of fighting, Drax suddenly realized that they were on the same front line. At this time, Tony planned that when the purple potato returned, everyone would join forces to take his Infinity Gauntlet. The Doctor sat to the side and used the Time Stone to read the future of this battle. And luckily, we have a chance to win out of 14 million possible scenarios. Meanwhile, Thanos led Gamora to the unknown planet where the Soul Stone was hidden. The two quickly met the Red Skull. He said that in his previous life, he was a person looking for stones, and he once had a stone in his hand. However, the Red Skull was left here to instruct others to take the treasure that he never held. He said that to get the stone, he had to lose the one thing he loved the most, a soul for a soul. Gamora laughed loudly because she thought Thanos was a cold-blooded man who never loved anyone, but she didn't expect that he was in tears because she was the person he loved the most. Gamora tried to use a knife to kill herself, but the knife turned into bubbles. Thanos apologized and pushed his daughter to the bottom of the abyss, and so he had the 4th Infinity Stone for himself. At this time on Earth, the Avengers team has reached the kingdom of Wakanda. King T'Challa, also the Black Panther warrior, came to welcome them. The king's sister, although young, is a talented scientist. After scanning Vision's entire body, Shuri said that if you want to remove the Mind Stone, it takes a lot of time. At that time, General Okoye discovered an alien object invading the Earth. That is the army sent by Thanos to retrieve the stone. One ship fell into the protective dome and exploded immediately. The remaining ones were too scared and fell outside for safety. Black Panther ordered the entire army to prepare for battle. He also gave the captain a new shield, and Wanda is only responsible for protecting Vision. Very quickly, the Royal Wakandan army launched a sortie. Banner used the giant Iron Man armor, but while flying and jumping, he tripped over a rock and fell face first into the ground. Outside, Thanos' 2 children are in battle to destroy the protective dome. Immediately, Midnight ordered the monster army to rush forward. These guys are like kamikaze soldiers, risking their lives to rush through the barrier. With the largest number, the army and soldiers split up to surround the area. Seeing this, Black Panther immediately ordered a part of the dome to be opened to kill them slowly. The warriors also prepared for the most glorious death. As soon as the barrier was opened, the enemy immediately rushed inside like ants breaking a nest. The earth-shattering battle raged fiercely. Although they tried their best to fight, these monsters were not only large but strong. They quickly completely overwhelmed the battle. When everything seemed to be over, a powerful beam of light descended into the earth. The rabbit appeared holding a new hammer and flew over each guy one by one. Thanks to that, everyone regained their spirit to continue fighting. With the hot product in his hand, like a tiger with wings, he flew up and slammed a ball of lightning on the ground, causing them to lie down and cover on the spot. After having the stone in hand, Thanos' soul immediately returned to Titan to take Doctor Strange's Time Stone. He used the Reality Stone to show everyone his planet before it was destroyed. Purple Potato said that Titan, like many other planets, had too many mouths to feed, while resources are not limitless. To avoid being destroyed, he destroyed half of the planet. Doctor Strange immediately stood up to protest the plan to kill half of the universe. Thanos said that if he had all 6 stones, he would do it with just a snap of his fingers. The Doctor asked, "What will you do then?" Purple Potato replied that he would return to his hometown to raise vegetables and grow more fish. While dreaming about a beautiful change, Tony pushed a large pillar down. However, he could easily break the rock with the Infinity Gauntlet. Knowing that was the source of the Purple Potato's power, the whole team joined forces to attack, not giving him the chance to use the arm. It took a lot of pain and suffering to be able to control Thanos' mind so that he would obediently be bound. At this moment, the Mantis Girl accidentally felt that he was in extreme pain. Star-Lord, knowing he had killed Gamora, went crazy. Instead of taking the gauntlet off, he punched him in the face continuously. So Thanos woke up and fought everyone. Now no one could stop him anymore. Even the Iron Man with nanotechnology to create armor was filled with onion fertilizer. Just when Thanos was about to finish him off, Doctor Strange begged him to spare his teammate's life. In return, he would hand over the Time Stone to him.
Purple Potato now had 5 Infinity Stones. He immediately opened the space portal to Earth to get the last stone. At that time, Princess Shuri was rearranging Vision's nerves. Outside, the monsters grew larger and larger. Bucky and the Winter Soldier combined quite comfortably together. The Captain and the Rabbit also formed a pair. Thor complimented Steve on his beautiful beard. By the way, let's introduce the Tree Man, Groot. At this moment, a giant excavating machine broke through the barrier. Seeing this, Wanda immediately rushed down to join the fight. She used her strength to burn the wheels and throw them straight at the monsters. Midnight quickly contacted her good accomplice to retrieve the Infinity Stone, but he was immediately dragged outside by Vision. Banner received the news and immediately ran to help his friend. However, the big guy stopped him and pulled him to a corner to fight. He used a hammer to cut off a robot arm. In a dangerous situation, Banner called for support, but the big guy was afraid of being beaten and didn't dare show up. If you can't use your arms and legs, use your brain. He used his robot arm to blind him and then launched the missile cleverly to make the enemy attack the dome. Very quickly, the big assassin was blown up into dust. On the other side, Vision did not fight back against the monster, so he stabbed him. The team leader arrived just in time to save his teammates. He was not an average person when he could beat both the Captain and Vision. While trying to suffocate Steve, a spear suddenly pierced his body. It turned out it was Vision who finished off this monster. On the other side was a battle between women. Midnight was very strong, but it was hard to beat 1 against 3. She was controlled by Wanda and thrown straight into the approaching giant wheel. Then she quickly ran to her lover. At this moment, Thanos appeared. Everyone in the group attacked as if no one could touch his body. Seeing the unfavorable situation, Vision wanted Wanda to take the stone away from him and destroy it. There was no other way, forcing her to use all her strength to destroy the Mind Stone. The remaining people tried desperately to stop Thanos' advance. Very quickly, the last line of defense, the team, also fell. Wanda then also destroyed the stone. But what people didn't expect was that the Purple Potato had the Time Stone. He went back to the moment Vision was not dead to get the Mind Stone. He finally had all 6 stones in his hand. Suddenly, from the sky, a powerful storm headed straight toward Thanos. Thor's hammer was pinned straight into this evil man's chest. However, he said he should have aimed at his head. Purple Potato raised his hand to the noodle and found himself in a different perspective. Little Gamora asked him how much it took to accomplish his goal. Thanos sadly replied that he had lost everything. Back to the present, his arm was burned black after performing the snap. He quickly opened the space gate and left. Immediately after that, half of all life in the universe disappeared into nothingness. Even superheroes could not escape this tragic end on the planet Titan. He was filled with pain as he watched his comrades who had just fought with him disappear before his eyes. So, will the survivors continue to fight or finally surrender to fate? Please everyone watch the final movie of the Infinity Saga in my next recap video.